fight makes sense. So we're already starting off with 300,000 being deducted based off of a percentage that he has to pay to his promoter to cross the street. He has a world-class trainer, that's 10%, that's 150,000. He has top management, that's another 10%.
Top management, that's him. You see, now we getting to the crust of this thing here. We getting to the real nitty gritty. He said 10% of Brian Norman Jr.'s earnings gonna go to him and his company. Sounds like y'all wanted the biggest sound like y'all wanted the biggest slice of the pie. That's what it sounds like to me. Y'all was trying to squeeze Eddie for at least 2 to 2.5 million. Listen, I get it. But none of those expenses that this guy's talking about has nothing to do with us, the fans, have nothing to do with Brian Norman Jr. getting in that ring fighting boots, has nothing to do with the promoter Eddie Hearn cutting the check, has nothing to do with DAZN, has nothing to do with nothing. What is the point of bringing this up? A world-class trainer costing 10%. Duh, he's going to have to need a trainer. We know this is, what I'm basically saying is these are all expenses that's standard across the business of boxing. Every fighter has to incur these expenses, not just Brian Norman. This is standard all across the business. So why are we bringing it up like this is some kind of new phenomenon? This has been going on in boxing for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. What are we talking about this stuff for? Lord have mercy.
150,000. And then to fight for the belts is not free. To cross the street is not free. To fight for the belts is not free. 3% off of $1.5 million is $45,000. He has to pay that for his WBO belt. Then he has to pay that for the IBF belt that he's fighting for. That's $45,000 two times. It's $90,000. So y'all keep saying, I get it because it's what you see. You're seeing $1.5 million. After the deductions, I see $810,000.
Stay no more. Stop right there. After all of the deductions, the manager sees $810,000. Double salute to my guy, Nate, in the cash app. Appreciate you. Man, we got more than 1,500 people watching me live. And the viewership is increasing exponentially, as I knew it would. Let's get to that. So after all the deductions, he's going to come out with $810,000 in the purse. Let me ask a question on that. What did he make in his last fight? Do anybody know? Because you know I got the paperwork now. You know my big homie sent me the paperwork now. Double salute to my guy, Jeremy Austin. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roller Tape film crew. All the family's here today. My whole Roller Tape family here today. Hold on for a minute. What was his last paycheck in May? I got the paperwork on my phone. I have it. My old head sent it to me. No, it's not 150,000. No. Let me pull the paperwork up. Hold on. My old head sent it to me this morning. We got the paperwork. Hold on, let me see something. Okay, here it is right here. Bam. $99,900. I got the paperwork right here. Hold on, let me show the people. This ain't, listen, you know I ain't gonna cap you. Homie. Payout sheet right here. I have the payout sheet for everybody that got paid on that card in May. Where Brian Norman Jr. wasn't even a headliner. He wasn't the main event. He got paid $99,900 from what the payout sheet says. Now, with that being said, did y'all complain about Bob Arum's expenses when you got paid the 99.9? Did y'all complain about the 10% that the young boy was going to have to pay the management team when he got paid the 99.9? You didn't? So why are we complaining and talking about it now? You didn't? Then how come we're talking about these business expenses? We all have business expenses. Matter of fact, look, let's take the whole $8 an hour and $28 an hour concept that I brought up earlier in the beginning of this broadcast. Aren't there deductions, expenses, anytime you do any kind of work, whether you own your own business, whether you're an independent contractor or a W-2 employee? It's just a yes or no. Can I get a yes or no in the live chat or the comment section? I don't ask for much. Please. I'm just asking just a yes or a no. If you own your own business, Aren't there expenses that should be deducted from your bottom line? Just yes or no. If you are an independent contractor, aren't there expenses that's going to be deducted from your bottom line? Just yes or no. If you are a W-2 employee, aren't there deductions and expenses that you would have to have garnished from your wages before you earn it? This is why it's called gross and net. It's just a yes or no. I'm just asking the question. I don't ask for much. It is. So everybody is saying yes. So then why are we talking about this as if this is some new phenomenon? No matter what environment you are in America, business ownership, independent contracting, W-2 employee, there's always going to be expenses. There's always going to be deductions. We know this. Double salute to my guy, Lucky McKinnell's again. He in the super chat. He breaking this thing all the way down like an old rifle like he always do. Lucky, I appreciate you, big dog. Lucky McKinnell says in the super chat, this goes back to B-Hop saying, boxing will call your bluff. We'll see the next time Brian Norman get that type of offer again. I can assure you, Lucky, and all of you watching the live and replay of this broadcast, Brian Norman will not be able to get that type of offer again. And I'm not jinxing the young man's career. I want him to do well. But his representation right now, they need to improve. And this is from one boxing manager to another. They need to make improvements because this type of mentality that I'm listening to is not good business. That's an in-house conversation he can have with his client. Because let's keep it real. $800,000. Well, he said 810. $810,000 is still 8 times more than what the young boy made in his last fight. Once again, $8 an hour versus a new company coming to you, asking you and offering you an opportunity to work at this company for $28 an hour. Even when you chop down the deduction and expenses, it's still 8 times more the money the young bull was going to make in his next 5 fights. What are we talking about? And 3 of the next 5 wasn't even planned out because he shouldn't have been available for boots in the first place. I told y'all about a phone booth. When my merchandise drop, you're going to see it written all across all the merchandise. Good representation in this business is priceless. That's a quote directly from me. And y'all see what I'm talking about, don't you? Let's continue on.
So from my standpoint, I'm like, bro, we need more money. And I'm
Stop.
not saying,
Stop. This guy been saying y'all see the motive, right? We need answers. Y'all missed it. Some of y'all missed. I'm going to rewind it because y'all just missed what he said. Listen.
For the IBF belt
Listen.
he's fighting for. That's $45,000 2 times. It's $90,000. So y'all keep saying, I get it because it's what you see. You're seeing $1.5 million. After the deductions, I see $810,000. So from my standpoint, I'm like, bro, we need more money.
All right. Y'all heard him? I'm going to break down his words and use it against him like I do everybody else. He said, y'all got to be listening when people talk. I listen to the words people say and the words people don't say. Did y'all hear him? He said y'all heard him, right? From my standpoint, bro, we need more money. This ain't about your standpoint. You work for Brian Norman Jr., right? You just said that Brian Norman Jr. wanted this fight. So what do your perspective and standpoint have to do with any of this? If Brian Norman Jr. wanted this fight as the fighter and you work for him as the manager, he should have got what he wanted. But I get it. See, he took ownership. From my standpoint, we need more money. Who is we? Who is we? Because the last time I checked, $810,000 is more money from him making $99,000. So he's already going to make more money. He's going to make 8 times the amount that he made in his last fight. Something that y'all managers didn't even have 3 more fights available for him to defend the title. In fact, we got to pull the facts out. When the last time he headlined his own card in his hometown in Georgia? 0 times. What leverage do you guys have? I'm just asking the question. You have really no, I mean, you got a belt, that's cool, but what other leverage do you have to ask for the numbers that you're asking for? He only was scheduled 1 time to fight for 12 rounds. Brian Norman Sr. said they'll knock boots out. Well, the last time Brian Norman Jr. received a knockout was in 2021 when he was scheduled to fight for 6 rounds. Somebody talk back to me. I'm making too much sense when I talk, right? Okay. That's the last time he knocked somebody out. Before his last fight is what I'm saying. Before his last fight, 2021, when he was fighting for 6 rounders. Now, 3 years later, he fight 1 time in a 12-round fight, and all of a sudden he's worth more than 1.75. So I'm trying to figure out from my perspective, ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. It's about the fighter. It's not about the manager. Because the manager worked for the fighter. Manager Marty worked for the fighters. It's not about me and what I think. Once the fighter tell me he want the fight, and I see that the numbers are 8 times more than what he's going to receive after the deductions, and he can knock the opponent out, sound like a no-brainer to me. Let's listen to some more of this.
I'm not saying, bro, you have to give us another $2 million or $3 million. Let's pony up the dough a bit to make sure that the deductions that we pay, the whole thing makes sense, so that after the fight happens, my client goes home with a check for 1.2, 1.3, $1.5 million.
All right, stop. He just said he's not saying that he's expecting Eddie Hearn to bump the numbers up to 2 to 3 million. And he just want his client to walk away with 1.2 or $1.5 million after the deductions. Well, time out for a minute. If your client's going to walk away with at least $1.2 million, that means that Eddie Hearn is going to have to bump. Am I making? Eddie Hearn's going to have to give you $2 to $3 million for the kid to walk away with 1.5. What are we talking about here?